Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to cook cheese grits and beef ribs. Stay tuned. The first thing you're going to do is season the beef ribs, and then you're going to lightly have flour on them. You don't want it heavily floured, but you do want some flour on there. Then you're going to place them into a heavy bottom pot such as a Dutch oven. I used my cast iron skillet Dutch oven, and you're going to brown each side. Make sure you put some olive oil in there first. I didn't have enough space to do all of the beef ribs, so I did them in portions, but I definitely made sure that I browned each side. Just make sure, you guys, you're not trying to cook the beef ribs, you're just trying to brown each side. It doesn't really matter, in my personal opinion, what side you place down first, so long as you make sure you flip them once one side is browned, and then you flip it to the other side. Once it's done, you're going to set it aside, and of course make some room because you're going to place your vegetables in there so you can saute them. Now that each side has been browned, you're going to set them aside. That way you are able to saute the vegetables and there is enough room. As you can see, they're not cooked throughout, they're just browned on each side. Now you're going to add the vegetables to saute. I chose to add carrots, but you can add whatever vegetables you like. You're going to saute them and just get them soft. They're not going to be burnt, and you want to make sure to turn down the heat on your stove because this is over medium heat. I then added tomato paste and stirred the carrots and the tomato paste together. At this point, again, just a reminder, your heat is on medium, it's not turned up high, and you're going to stir in your carrots and the tomato paste. Then you're going to add what I used, which was cream of celery, and this is just for purposes of flavor, but also for thickening purposes for your beef ribs. After I added in the cream of celery, I made sure to stir it in with the carrots and the tomato paste. Of course, as you can see, the color is changing, but that is just okay. Next, you're going to take the beef ribs that you had set aside and place them into the pot. The pot should still be on, again, on that medium to low heat, so it's still very much cooking. So you're going to place all of the beef ribs into the pot. It's okay if they don't all fit in the bottom. It is a stew. Then you're going to add beef broth. I added approximately 2.5 cups to the beef broth. It's okay if you don't have a whole lot of beef broth. You can add in what you do have and some water. And then I added in the Guinness beer. It gives it a different type of flavor and taste, and I promise you're going to love it. Now that I've added that all together, I placed the top in there, put it in the oven on 350 and set it aside for 2 hours. I'm going to make the cheese grits. If you know how to make grits already, you probably don't need to know that first you boil water. The reason that you want to make sure that the water is actually boiling first is because these are grains, so you want to activate the grains. So you're going to add the appropriate amount of grits into the water and stir it up. Next, you're going to add about 1/4 teaspoon of salt or more. It depends on the amount of grits that you're cooking. It is boiling this entire time. That's why I wanted to show you guys the fire. You are stirring it very, very slowly to make sure that no lumps are starting, and you want to just make sure that it's continuing to be very creamy. At this point, you're going to cover it for a little while and turn down the heat of the grits just a little bit. Now, after a few minutes of letting the grits kind of cook and activate, I check them, and then I add some milk. That is my secret to my grits. I add milk to my grits. It makes them very, very creamy. You can also add sour cream and things like that, but for my personal preference, I add milk, and that's whole milk. I also add in some butter, but at this point, if you want to have some cheese, I take some chunks of cheese, turn down the heat on the grits, and let the cheese melt with the grits. And then they're done, and you set them aside. After about 2 hours, the ribs should be ready. You take the top off and you see that the meat is basically almost falling off of the bones. It smells amazing, it looks amazing, and look at there. I mean, the meat is basically falling off the bones. That's when you know that the meat is tenderized and it's very soft, and you're just going to love eating your beef ribs over the grits. And I love the flavor that the Guinness beer brings. I know it may be a little different, but look at that beef ribs over the cheese grits. It's a very interesting flavor, but it works. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and you get the latest videos as soon as they drop. Bye.